Hey people, sorry for the very late video. Shit's been crazy. So, this week we're talking about online resources versus in real life resources. So, both are very valuable, and there needs to be more of both, but the thing is that, like, the online resources are usually available to everyone, so, every time any contribution to online resources is available to everyone, so any given person generally has more access to online resources, because if you live if you live in a place like a country, a town, a district, neighborhood that's that doesn't have the resources you need, like new resources across the country aren't really going to help you. But online resources, assuming you already have access to the internet and a computer, they do. So it's like, for people who want to create more resources, it's easier to make online resources. But that's not what we need. That is what we need. We need, more of both. But with online resources, the struggle is finding and spreading access to or knowledge of the good ones. Like, online, there's so much information, and when it's on a less well-known topic, like non-binary people, so there's a lot of misinformation, and because it's not something that everyone knows about or everyone deals with, it's sort of hard. Like, often if you just Google non-binary, or you Google like a specific less known term, the things that will come up will be very skewed to the public perception. And when it's something that not a lot of people know about, and when it's something that involves prejudices people have, that information can be just wrong, or it can even be harmful. Right now, I'm going to Google non-binary and see what comes up. There's sort of like a Google promoted result at the top of the page from nonbinary.org. Okay, that's good. That's a decent source that talks about transgender and non-binary. And the links that come up, there's gender.wikia.com, there's nonbinary.org. There are these questions. It says, people also ask, are trans people non-binary? What is a gender queer? And stuff like that. So, and there's stuff about everydayfeminism.com, just Wikipedia, transmediawatch.org, Urban Dictionary. So if someone was looking for stuff, and all they knew was they want to know more about what non-binary means, they could start there, and there's a lot of places you can go. There's a lot of, trails down the world of the internet. And there are a lot of people with different opinions, even like a lot of binary trans people with different opinions on non-binary people and what it means, and if our genders are valid and stuff like that. So it would be much too easy for someone to be looking on the internet for stuff like that, and if they don't have any background, like, how are they going to discern a source, like a valid source, from one that is clearly bigoted and full of misinformation. So sorting out online resources and like making sure people find reputable sources and like actually listen to non-binary people talk about being non-binary in terms of like gender related resources is very important. And so, you know, as far as online resources, work needs to be done in that area. For in real life resources, it really matters where you live. In big cities, in like Manhattan, for example, I haven't exactly sought out any information about that, but I still hear and read things about different, you know, organizations like what is it called? I'm gonna look it up, but it was a shelter named after a trans teen. Yes, I think so. What were they trans, or were they just? The place I'm thinking of is called the Ali Forney Center. It's a homeless shelter for LGBT teens. And when I'm on the website, it says, Ali Forney was a homeless gender nonconforming youth who was forced to live on the streets at the age of 13. And there are, like, that's just off the top of my head. I don't live in New York. I've never lived in New York. But, you know, it's a big city. So, you know, it's very easy in places like that. Well, very, very easy. It's a lot easier in places like that to find organizations and whatever, people who you can be open with and who can help you. In smaller cities, it may be a struggle just to meet another trans person, another non-binary person. Me personally, I live in like a medium-sized city. It's fairly well-sized, and I sort of started looking for local resources for just like LGBT plus in general people, and also trans people. I found this organization which was specifically for youth, which I think they defined as people under 21, between the ages of like 13 and 21. And they had weekly meetings. It was a pretty big turnout. Like there was two. There was one that was in the city, and there was one in like a neighboring city that is sort of on the edge of the, you know, greater area, including the counties of my city. And sometimes, like, depending on the season, sometimes like 30 people would show up, and sometimes it would be like 15. It varied. And they had a group for trans youth that met once a month, and like it probably averaged about 5 people, and it wasn't enough for me, but it was helpful. And then, like the summer before I went to college, I found out about this organization, a fairly new organization, that was specifically for transgender people in the area. And they had events, and they had, you know, regular meetings. A lot of the meetings are only, unfortunately, for people 18 and up. But I learned a little bit more, and then when I moved back to where I am now, I got involved with the meetings, and I started going to some of the meetings. And I learned that they have a sort of affiliated organization called QTPOC, so Queer Trans People of Color, And I started going to some of those meetings too. And that was a huge help. Like that, the youth organization, just LGBT organization, it did not really meet. It wasn't really enough for what I really needed as like a trans teenager, a non-binary teenager. Like there was no, I almost never met in the trans youth group that I went to that met once a month. I almost never met any other non-binary people. But this organization, the trans organization in my city, is run by trans people. And in the, in the year and a half since I learned about them and have been like watching them and sort of peripherally involved, they have grown a lot, and they're actually like trying to find. There used to be an actual building that was like the LGBT center in my city, but that had to get closed down, and so now they're trying to build their own like a physical place where they can hold meetings, because right now they hold meetings in various churches around the city that donate their space. Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on with like resources in my city, as far as like non-binary related resources, gender related resources, and just LGBT. There's some resources that are sort of youth focused, or homeless youth focused, that I was looking into when it looked like I might actually be homeless. And so like I can't really share those specific ones without saying like where I live, which I don't want to, but you would be surprised at how many different organizations there are. There is like in most cities there is a YMCA or a YWCA. They do various like programs, and they usually have one to help like low income or homeless youth. At least the YWCAs do. I don't know about the YMCAs. And unfortunately, like, yes, it is very binary. But that is one that I can say would be in most cities. I don't know if they usually have those in like really small towns. I don't know. But yeah. It's worth a try, and there will be a lot. And the best thing to do is just to ask if you need help, if you think that there might be like an organization that could help you, if you need help and you can't get it from family or from friends, financial help or community help or resources, like just the best thing is to just keep on asking everyone. Make sure that you don't leave anyone unasked, any stone unturned, as far as in real life resources. Yeah, and like it's a lot harder for not like resources to make resources that aren't online, because you need money. And depending on what exactly you're trying to do, you might need a lot of money. But you might not need too much, depending on what you're trying to do. Like if you want to come up with some sort of support group, say a support group for trans people in where you live, or non-binary people, or just LGBT people, it could start out very small. It could start out like just contacting some people that might be interested in helping, and finding a public place to meet and like setting down basic rules about, privacy and being respectful. And something that starts out like that may actually become like an official organization with funds and maybe, headquarters. You don't know. Whatever it is that you need or that you want to provide to others who may need it, if you can find enough interested people, enough people who are willing to work for it, you can create it. But as for the online resources, which I can share with you very easily, I'm going to come up with a list and I'm going to put in the description box. Some of these are ones that I may have posted before because several months ago we did a week where we talked about resources. I don't know if it was resources in general or online resources, but yes, so some of those links may be repeated, but I don't know. I mean, repetition can be good, I guess. So I guess I will focus on things that have to do with just like trans and non-binary resources, and also some things about like financial assistance and like what to do if you're homeless or you don't have enough money, because I did some research on that. Yeah, and there are a lot of different kinds of resources. Like resources covers a lot. Like support groups are a resource of information and of emotional support. Different funds, grants, scholarships are resources. Just a place where you can go and you can get sensitive medical help, whether it's just generally or with hormones, can help. There is a fucking lot. There's a lot. So I will try to come up with links to places that are not easy, like that you might not that I think that you might not already know about. So, new stuff. We have chosen one of our new members, and we're still trying to, choose the other. Things are going on for a lot of us, so we're very sorry about that. So feel free to still send in an application if you want, but even if you don't, we will like choose a second person soon. And if you're looking for a specific thing online that you think that, maybe we or any of our like viewers already knows about, like feel free to ask about it in the comments. I hope you all are having a great week and life, I guess. Okay. Bye.